Ohio State has upset some people. I say, too bad. Bring it on. Locked On Big Ten starts right now.
You are Locked On Big Ten, your daily podcast on the Big Ten Conference. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome to Locked On Big Ten. I'm Craig Sheeman, 40 years as a sports talk show host and play-by-play announcer. And I want to thank you for making us your first listen each and every day. We're free and available wherever you get your podcasts and on YouTube. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Hit that free subscribe button while you're watching. Today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. From the first whistle to the final drive, FanDuel makes the NFL playoffs even more exciting. Right now, new customers can bet $5 and get $300 in bonus bets if you win your first bet. Visit FanDuel.com and get started. Paul Finebaum has his underwear in a bind over the Buckeyes, and Penn State too, for that matter, plus some Urban Meyer news, and we'll have our official pigskin pick for Monday night's championship game. But first, SEC apologist and talking head Paul Finebaum, he can't wrap himself around the fact that the Big Ten is about to win its second national championship in a row. So he's taking shots at the Ohio State Buckeyes. Those of us that follow the Big Ten, look, we know the Buckeyes story all too well. Ryan Day, under immense pressure to win everything after falling short in 2023, went all in revamping how they do things in Columbus. He doubled down on the nil collectives at Ohio State. He put together a $20 million all-star roster. Nothing wrong with that. That's how things are done in this day and age in college football. So Day even went a step further. He took himself away from the offensive game planning and the offensive play calling, gave away to Bill O'Brien briefly before he then left, and then they brought in Chip Kelly to guide the offense. It was all part of the Ryan Day master plan. This would give Day some more flexibility, more freedom to keep the feet to the fire for everybody else on the big picture at Ohio State. And while there were huge bumps in the road this year with losses to Oregon and Michigan and a failure to play in the Big Ten championship game, which is one of their major goals every year, here they are. Here they are, 60 minutes away from a national championship. Look, it was not a perfect path, all right? But they made it to the final game here Monday night. They're going to face Notre Dame. Ohio State's going to be heavy favorites in this one for the national championship. By the way, programming note, join us on Locked On Big Ten on YouTube live as soon as that game is over. We'll go live on Locked On Big Ten right after the final whistle. My immediate reaction, your immediate reaction on the comment section. It's live, give and take. It's awesome. We do it after all the big games throughout the year. We'll close it off with the championship. Mark your calendars now. Join us right after the game on Monday night. But back to the issue at hand. Some people are critical about how Ohio State put together their roster. ESPN's Paul Finebaum, he's rooting for Notre Dame because they're playing for a national championship, quote unquote, without an Ole Miss running back or an Alabama defensive back, unquote. Apparently, he's not a fan of Ohio State's success in the transfer portal. He's referring to Ohio State's running back, Quinshon Judkins, who was all SEC before coming to Columbus, and Caleb Downs, who transferred in from Tuscaloosa. Now, Caleb Downs, he was going to leave Alabama no matter what because Nick Saban was retiring. Should Ohio State be blamed for picking him up? Of course not. Would Notre Dame have turned him down had he called Marcus Freeman? Of course not. That would be preposterous. Should Ohio State be criticized because Judkins came to Ohio State, even though Trevion Henderson was already still there? He knew he'd be getting less playing time. So what's the big deal? Any other school could have gone after that guy. Hey, Quinshon, you can get more snaps if you come here, right? Any school, Notre Dame, Ohio State, whoever. So, and by the way, Day's real genius wasn't the kids he had nil money for to bring into the campus. His real genius was talking to numerous players already on the Ohio State Buckeyes roster and talking them into staying another year when many of them could have gone off into the NFL and made millions of dollars. Hooked them up with nice nil deals. They stayed. Unfinished business. Chance to win a championship. Here they are. That was the real genius of what Ryan Day did this year. He should be criticized for that because he did it better than anybody else. To point out just how ridiculous Finebaum's take is, let us not forget, Notre Dame just doesn't ignore the transfer portal either, and nil money and all that. Quarterback Riley Leonard. He came from a good Duke football team last year. One of their best receivers, Bo Collins, arrived from Clemson, the playoff program. So don't tell me that Notre Dame is just 100% old school, just sitting back, developing players for 3 to 4 years like it's the 1970s. That's nonsense. That's nonsense. You got to have a holistic approach to it. And both of these schools do. Finebaum knows this. But Finebaum has a long history of bashing the Big Ten. He'd be pulling his hair out if he had any. At Penn State beat Notre Dame the other week, and then we have an all Big Ten national championship on Monday night because Paul loves himself some SEC, loves the SEC, hates the Big Ten. But last time I checked, all Big Ten final or not, and we're not going to have one, but I don't see any SEC teams in there. None. In fact, the only team that had a shot at it was Big 12 transfer Texas. And by the way, they got beat by Ohio State. In fact, if I can recall, Finey's beloved SEC didn't do too well against the Big Ten this entire offseason, did they? Ohio State, already mentioned the win over Texas. Ohio State was the third-place team in the Big Ten. They beat the third-best team in the SEC, Tennessee, by 25 points in the playoffs. That must have hurt Finey. USC, led by Lincoln Riley, who Finebaum considers a buffoon. Finebaum says Lincoln Riley is a fraudulent and illegitimate football coach. He's hammered him for his entire career. But he beat Texas A&M of the SEC in the Las Vegas Bowl, didn't he? What do you think about that? Michigan, with no quarterback, really, beat Alabama a second time in 365 days in the postseason. How about that? How about Illinois? They defeated a red-hot South Carolina Gamecock team in the Citrus Bowl. Red-hot. Physical game. Beat them down because that's what the Big Ten does. In fact, if it weren't for Missouri needing 2 late field goals in order to beat the Iowa Hawkeyes in their bowl game, the Big Ten would have run the table against the SEC. Finey's beloved SEC in the postseason. Look, clearly, and this is something we're going to harp home on here in the offseason, the SEC is not the SEC anymore. They're not. They've dropped a peg. And the Big Ten is pretty much where it's been. And some people would even consider this a down year for the Big Ten. It was all top heavy, right? The big criticism of the Big Ten is, all the good teams are the top. We got Ohio State, you got Oregon, you got Penn State, Indiana was a playoff team, Illinois was a top 25 team. And they want to say, that's all they got. The middle team and the lower tier teams, they're not good enough. Well, that's about to change if that's even true. And, the SEC's got some work to do. But anyway, I'd like to take a little shot at Finey there because the Big Ten, they're about 60 minutes away from being back-to-back national champions in college football. That's right. We'll make our official pick. We've got our point spreads and all that we're going to dive into in our final segment here with our pigskin picks. But clearly the Big Ten is on top of the college football world, and some people just aren't too happy about it. We are. That's what we do here at Locked On Big Ten. Thoughts and comments? Would love to hear from you. Comments on YouTube. I'll get you all fired up with all of that. Be sure to subscribe to and follow Locked On Big Ten for free wherever you get your podcast. That way you get the latest episode of this podcast as soon as it becomes available each and every day. And we always ask you to share, like, and follow Locked On Big Ten as well. That really helps us out. Thank you. It helps you get dialed in with us as well. And don't forget to check out our website, talkbig10.com. All of our podcasts go there chronologically, and we group them by school as well. So if you got a favorite team, if you're a Buckeye fan, you go to the Buckeye section, and all the podcasts we've done that have featured the Buckeyes will be right there. Plus, we have links where you could buy your favorite Buckeye gear, if you will. All right there. College teams, Talk Big Ten Get your shirts, pennants, hats, T-shirts, all that right there. TalkBig10.com. All right, lots going on. We're not done with this Finebaum. He's criticizing other parts of the Big Ten, taking a shot at Penn State and James Franklin. We'll get into that. Ohio State, talk about them. Big announcement about Urban Meyer. We will get to all of that, plus our pick later on as we continue here on Locked On Big Ten. PrizePicks. This is fun. You got to do PrizePicks. PrizePicks is a place to get real money sports action with over 10 million members and billions of winnings. PrizePicks has changed the game in daily fantasy sports, whether it's in the playoffs or the regular season. PrizePicks has made it easier than ever to win big while enjoying the entire football season. Now that we're in the playoffs, there's no better way to get into the action here than with PrizePicks. Here's how it works. You pick a couple of players or a bunch of players, at least two, and pair them with their stats, say more than or less than with these stats of at least two players. And if your picks hit, you can win up to 1,000 times your cash. That's right, 1,000 times your money just by making a few simple picks. For example, this weekend, looking for Lamar Jackson to have more than 250 yards passing and Travis Kelce more than 70 yards in receiving. Put it all together. PrizePicks have their flex play where you can still double your money even if one of your picks doesn't hit. And with the app, you get your winnings fast, sometimes in as little as 15 minutes. Ready to run your game this football season? Download the app today and use the code LOCKEDONCollege to get $50 instantly after you play your first $5 lineup. That's right, $50 just for playing. So don't wait. Take your game to the next level with PrizePicks. PrizePicks, run your game. Thanks for making Locked On Big Ten your first listen each and every day, especially you everydayers out there. Meanwhile, be sure to hit that subscribe button down below and share, follow, and like Locked On Big Ten, your team every day. And don't forget our website, talkbig10.com. Well, Ohio State has some huge Urban Meyer news going into the national championship. Congratulations to the former Buckeyes coach. Urban Meyer will be inducted into the class of 2025 College Football Hall of Fame. Now, Meyer raised the bar like no other coach ever has during his tenure at Ohio State. And now the expectations of those that follow him, including current coach Ryan Day, nearly impossible to match. But although a national championship this week by Ryan Day, along with his stellar winning percentage at the time he's been at Ohio State, that'll go a long way in Day's favor, no question about it. If you youngsters out there need a refresher course on how solid Urban Meyer was at Columbus, my goodness, in 7 years, 83-9. That was his record. Didn't even get to double digits in the loss column. 3 conference titles, 4 bowl wins, and a national championship. In fact, he won 10 or more games every year. Every year. Never lost more than 2 games. What a roll. After a brief and unsuccessful stint as the Jacksonville Jaguars head coach, he has since landed at Fox as a football analyst for Big Noon. Back to Paul Finebaum for a minute. I can't get him out of my head. He wasn't done hating on the Big Ten. He get very defensive about that. After ripping Ohio State, he had some venom for Penn State coach James Franklin, by the way. He said Franklin will never win a national title. Of course, the Nittany Lions came within 3 points versus Notre Dame, making this an all Big Ten championship, which we would have preferred. But if that had happened, that would have caused Finebaum to have a stroke, I'm sure. He went on to say that Franklin can't win a big game. He's never won a big game. He didn't win one this year, and he won't win one next year. He says that's who he is. These are Finebaum's comments, not mine. Although we have discussed this topic here on Locked On Big Ten on whether it's true or not. And there's some there. But I'm not going to go in on say he's never going to win a big one ever, never win a championship this year, next year. I wouldn't say that. He also went on to say that Franklin is jinxed. He says, but that doesn't make him a bad coach. Go ahead and have it both ways. The Nittany Lions, by the way, won 13 games this year. Well, once all the dust clears here, they're going to look back and say, this is a pretty good season. Making it to the semifinals, 13 wins. It's a good season. 3 points for making the national championship game. Hey, speaking of Penn State, As you know, as we've talked about here on Lockdown Big Ten, they need a new defensive coordinator to replace Tom Allen, of course, who bolted suddenly. That was a fast exit this week as he took the Clemson defensive coordinator job, got about a $300,000, $400,000 raise out of the deal each year. One candidate, though, that Penn State is looking at, they're going back to Tom Allen's old stomping grounds. Remember, Tom Allen used to be the head coach at Indiana. They're looking at Indiana defensive coordinator Bryant Haynes. He's been with Curt Cignetti forever. Most of Curt Cignetti's staff has been with him a long, long time, going back to James Madison days and even before that. And so they're very loyal to him. They're a tight-knit group. And but the Hoosiers numbers got a lot of people's attention this year. The Hoosiers were number 2 in FBS with the fewest yards allowed per game at 256. They were number 1 in the country in fewest rushing yards allowed per game at 80, and 6th in the country in points per game allowed at 15.6. So, yeah, he's getting a look. That's for sure. And I got some more bad news for Penn State. Look, the one thing that Penn State has, they've had so many good pieces, good line play, good secondary, awesome running backs. Drew Aller, other than the Notre Dame game, usually pretty steady. They've had tight ends. Just can't get wide receiver right. They just don't have any. And nobody that can break the game open and help out Drew Aller a little bit, stretch that defense. They just haven't been able to do it. It's mind-blowing. I know they know it's a priority. They can't get it right. And they just lost out on another recruit they probably should have got. Rutgers beat them out. Rutgers beat out Penn State for a kid out of Pennsylvania, Elias Koch. He's a 3-star. Class of 2026 for Pennsylvania. Good size, good speed. 6'2", 195 already. And he's still a high schooler. And he's going to join star wide receiver Desir Carter at Rutgers. Rutgers, I don't know what Rutgers is doing. Usually they're ground and pound, running between the tackles. Heck, man, any more receivers, they might be running the run and shoot over there in Piscataway. But Koch is the highest rated wide receiver still available in Pennsylvania. And again, with wide receiver being a priority for Penn State, Koch even visited Penn State 11 times. 11 times while they were recruiting him. And they didn't close him. Rutgers got him. That's amazing. And here's the deal. It wasn't like because he was considering other schools like Miami, Michigan, Notre Dame. And he spurned them all to go to Rutgers. Good job. That's a nice get by Greg Schiano. That's a big swing and a miss by James Franklin on that. More recruiting news and transfer portal news and all this stuff. Michigan, they got a 5th-year senior, Jeff Percy. He's hit the transfer portal. Offensive lineman. Played in 38 games. Started 3. Filled in a lot. Played some special teams. Backup duty. It's a grad transfer with 1 year of eligibility left. Michigan's lost 6 linemen in the portal here over the past couple of weeks. In fact, 25 players have left. That's a lot different than last year. Remember last year? Okay, yeah, Jim Harbaugh left. A lot of coaching staff left. A lot of the players stayed. They believe in that Michigan thing, right? Well, 25 players have left here this year in the offseason. Now, 10 new players that we know of are coming in, and they're all pretty good. Michigan is doing a pretty good job of bringing in some good players for the transfer portal. But, yeah, much different picture than this time last year down there in Ann Arbor. And no new news as of now on Michigan defensive coordinator Wink Martindale. We talked about earlier this week on how he was interviewing with NFL teams. Got a lot of NFL in his background. 1 year at Michigan, very blitz happy, no question about it. That Michigan defense was playing really well in the second half of the season, but Wink is interviewing with the Falcons and the Colts. Looks like the Bengals want to talk to him. I don't have anything new on that today. Meanwhile, as we go into this weekend here today, a lot of Big Ten hoops, men's and women's. There's a couple of men's games I would like to point out to you because they feature 2 top 25 teams in the Big Ten going head-to-head. Saturday, 17th ranked Purdue is at 13th ranked Oregon. That's at 3 p.m. Eastern, noon Pacific on NBC. And then Sunday, 19th ranked Illinois taking on 12th ranked Michigan State at Sparty, East Lansing. 12 noon on CBS Eastern Time. So check that out. All right, more of your comments. Welcome. I'm going to do it. We always close out the week with our big pigskin picks. It's basically a pigskin pick, although I have some other gambling information if you would like it. We'll have that all coming up in 1 minute right here on Locked On Big Ten. FanDuel. Watching games are great. You got a little something on it, they're even more exciting, more adrenaline. And from the first whistle to the final drive, FanDuel makes the NFL playoffs even more exciting. Right now, new customers can bet $5 and get $300 in bonus bets. They upped it. All right, that's if you win your first bet. It's $300 to keep the action going. So FanDuel's very easy to navigate on the app, and the variety of bets keeps every game exciting. Plus, when you win, you get paid instantly. No waiting around for your winnings. Whether you're betting on your favorite team or just looking to add some extra excitement to the playoffs, FanDuel has you covered. Just visit FanDuel.com and join today and get started with $300 in bonus bets. That's FanDuel.com. Make this playoff season unforgettable with FanDuel, an official sportsbook partner of the NFL. All right, it's time for our Pigskin Picks segment that we do at the end of each week. Basically, just one game I want to talk about here today. Plus, I got a little extra something for you here. So I'm going to put it on full screen. If you are audio only, no problem. We'll talk you through it. But here we go. Here's the number. Pigskin Picks, National Championship. Ohio State take it on Notre Dame. Ohio State, an 8-point favorite. Notre Dame, 8-point underdog. This was 9.5. So it's coming back down to earth a little bit. And the number 45.5, the over under. I'm going to tell you what, I've said this before. I'm going to dive into it. I'm going to double down on it. Ohio State's winning this game. Ohio State will be the national champion, and they will cover this 8. I think Ohio State wins by 2 scores. The only chance that Notre Dame has is if they grind this game up and ugly it up a little bit. And by this, I mean like your first quarter scores, 0-0 or 3-0, which is possible. A lot of times Ohio State, they'll come out slow in the first quarter and then get their momentum going and then just take off. It's happened before. So that's Notre Dame's only chance. Keep it close at the half and then grind it. But Ohio State just has too many weapons. And I think this is going to be the Buckeyes' night. So they're going to win by at least 2 scores. Easy breezy on the point spread. The over-under, I think, is right on the money. I don't know if I might sit that one out. 45.5. I see this being a 28-ish to 17 ball game. It's right there at the number. So do it on your own if you want. But that's what I'm saying. Ohio State, 28-17. That's my prediction right here. All right. What do you think? Hit me up on the comments there. Also, just for fun, since we're transitioning from football to basketball, here is an early look. I'm taking a peek to March Madness, 2 months away. The 2025 Men's Basketball Championship. Here are the odds as of today. Thank you, FanDuel. The top 5 teams are on the left column here. Duke plus 500 to win it all. Auburn at plus 600, followed by Iowa State 12-1. Iowa State, what an impressive win against Kansas this week. They did it without their starting forward. Couldn't tell. They look good. If I had to sprinkle something on somebody right now here in mid to late January, I like Iowa State right now. I really do. Houston at 14-1, as is Alabama. So I kept searching the list, kept going down. Look, where are the Big Ten teams? The best odds for a Big Ten team right now had to go all the way down to Michigan at 30-1 odds to win the Natty right now. Illinois right behind them at 33-1. Michigan State, Tom Izzo sitting there at 50-1 odds to win it all. Nobody thinks the Big Ten is going to do anything this year. Nothing in March. Purdue and UCLA are at 75-1, Oregon at 80-1, and then Maryland and Wisconsin, 100-1 odds of winning it all. There are more, but the odds are worse. I didn't even put them on here. There you go. All right. Men's basketball championship odds as of today. These will change. We'll keep an eye on them for you. That's what we do here. All right, that's fantastic. Been a wonderful week. Enjoy your weekend. Get ready for the Natty, the national championship on Monday night with Ohio State and Notre Dame. And now we'll have a podcast Monday morning, like we always do. Monday night, we're going to go live with another edition. It'll carry us into the wee hours Tuesday morning. So around 11 o'clock Eastern time, 8 o'clock Pacific. We'll go live here on Locked On Big Ten on YouTube. So join us. Mark your calendars for that. We'll be very excited. We'll have our immediate reaction to the Big Ten, I almost said the Big Ten championship, the national championship between Ohio State and Notre Dame. Looking forward to that one. We'll be all over it. My immediate reaction and analysis, your immediate reaction on the text comment line as well. It'll be a lot of fun. Make a plan to join us. That'll be fantastic. Well, that'll do it for today. Thank you very much. I never take it for granted that you join us, and I can't wait already to talk to you next time. For Locked On Big Ten, I'm Craig Sheeman. Talk to you next time.